work in George Square, and I nipped out for lunch, which I don't actually usually do. Nipped out to Greg's, and I was in the queue, which is directly across the pavement. So I was on the other side of the street in Greg's, and I was last in the queue, and then all screaming and shouting, loud banging. Initially thought it was a construction site that was collapsing, just because it was like a continuous racket, and then walked out of Greg's and just saw a lorry driving at a considerable pace right across the street, and it was literally flattening people in front of a lot of people, and it was just hysteria. And then immediately, our attention was drawn to the bodies on the road, and then quite a lot of the nearby shops, the Pizza Express staff and stuff were helping. It was sheer chaos and panic, and there was a lot of fatally injured people, and there was a lot of people that were panicking, and there was 2 people getting mouth to mouth right in the centre of the street, which is like a T-junction, and I'm not too sure what happened there. 999, and we were trying to help.
It would have been incredibly busy at the time, Anjan.
So it was, near lunchtime. There was queues in Greg's, there was queues across all the shops, and it's, obviously a few days before Christmas, and there's lots of shops in Queen Street. So there was a lot of people.
And presumably those that weren't injured were very quick to try to help those that had been affected by this terrible tragedy.
Yeah, it took a good 4 or 5 minutes, I think, for the ambulance, etc. to come. So, all of us that were around, I'm not sure who was doing mouth to mouth, but there was numerous people. But there was some, there were some bodies that were just untouchable, and people were just covering the bodies because they were in such a state. So, let's just pray for the people that that were there and they got injured. But yeah, from being right across the street, it was horrible to see.
And what did you do, Anjan? How did you manage to help?
So you do is, you're in sheer panic. So I called 999. We called a few ambulances over initially, and then finally got through to some. So a few came, and then went over to a few bodies. And it just happened to be that the ones that I went over to just weren't in a position to really help. Went over to a few of the people that were doing mouth to mouth, but there were so many people around them that it almost seemed you couldn't really do anything. And then people started ushering the traffic around, and it was just telling people in the cars what had happened, because there was a lot of traffic at the main square. It's a busy square in Glasgow, so there was a lot of traffic and a lot of horns going off, and no one really knew what to do. So it was telling the cars what had happened. It was just panic.
And what is happening? I don't know if you're still at the scene or not. What's happening there now?
Yeah, so I'm overlooking the scene right now. There's a pop-up tent, a green tent, on one of the streets that's up there. The lorry still crashed into Queen Street Station. The whole square was evacuated. So there was a good few hundred people in the middle of the square on the ice rink, skating on the ice rink. That's all been evacuated. The whole square is cordoned off. There's no traffic coming in and out of the square. There seems to be more police cars and ambulances around the train station now, where the lorry's lodged. So from that, I'm assuming that the bodies have been removed, which was down Queen Street, a good 300 metres to the left of where the lorry is now.
Hearing from the police, Anjan, that this lorry probably travelled something like 300 metres along the pavement. Is that sort of what you would anticipate, what you would calculate?
Yeah, it was. I mean, when I first looked at the lorry, which was opposite Greg's, I'm not sure where it started from, but it seemed as if the bodies were in Royal Exchange Square. So if you calculate it from Royal Exchange Square to where the lorry is now, that is a good 300, 400 metres. So it's gone a considerable distance at quite a high pace. Tragic, very, very tragic.